Hello and happy fall. I think by the time you guys see this video, it'll be like pretty well into fall. I don't think I'll be putting this video out until like the middle of October, give or take. But either way, happy fall. I hope it's going well for everybody. Laura over at the Book Circus recently did the It's Finally Fall tag, and I thought it was a great little tag to do, so I wanted to do one myself. I miss doing tag videos. I feel like they're not as big of a thing as they used to be on BookTube, and I definitely miss them because like they're easy to film first of all, and they're also just a lot of fun. I just think it's a great way to like break up the regular videos that we tend to put out. So look at Tony's legs. Okay, I'm gonna insert a video of what he looks like right now. Moving my camera would be too difficult, but just look at this guy. He's so comfy. Anyways, so the Finally Fall book tag. I'm not sure who created it, but if I can find the original person, I will link that down below. So let's get into it. I'm also going to only stick with books that I've read this year, aside from the last couple of questions, which involves like an old favorite. But other than that, the majority of these answers will be books that I have read this year. The first prompt is, in fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. For this one, I had to go with A Spear Cuts Through Water by Jimenez. I read this one back in July and it was so incredibly beautiful. It's both super vivid but also very dreamlike at the same time, but the setting is super vivid. It's so beautifully written. That world felt so bright in my head and I could picture it so well, and it's definitely one that I will never stop thinking about ever in my life. I literally think about that book at least once a day. Like, it's so good. Question 2 is, nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. I have 2 books for this one, and if you've been following my channel, neither of these should be a surprise. The first one is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke and Emezi. This one is about a woman who lost her husband, I believe 4 years prior to the start of the book, and the book takes place when she's just starting to date again. It was such a beautiful story. It was heartbreaking and hopeful and just, oh my god, it was so good. It's one of the very few 5 stars that I've given out this year, and definitely a favorite book of all time. It was so incredibly beautiful. And the other one is The 7-Year Slip by Poston. This one is about a magical apartment that randomly transports you back to 7 years in the past, and the main character inherited the apartment from her aunt who recently passed away. Aunt? Grandma? One of the two, I forget which right now, but somebody who was very close to her. The main point of the book is the romance in the apartment and that kind of thing, but grief also plays a huge part in this book, and I thought it was so beautifully written, and that book made me cry so hard. Question 3 is, fall is back to school season. Share a non-fiction book that taught you something new. For this one, I'm gonna go with Miss Major Speaks by Miss Major and Toshio Meronek. This is a conversation between Miss Major and her longtime friend, just talking about her life and things that she's been through, things that she's seen. This book should be required reading for every queer person or non-queer person. Her thoughts and opinions on things like Stonewall and the Pride Parade and that kind of thing was so interesting to read about, and I definitely learned a lot from her just from reading this like short little book. I thought it was phenomenal, and I'll definitely read this one again. I think it's one that I would get more out of the more that I read it. Question 4 is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend time with the people we love. Name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. I have to go with The Witch King for this one by H.E. Edgmon. I want to be part of this friend group so badly. Like, yes, they're going through terrible things and like literally having to save the world and dismantle their entire government system, and it's a lot of work, but they also are adorable and I love them and they're all hilarious, and I want to be their friend so badly. Question 5 is, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall colored spines. This was really fun to go through my shelves and grab a stack of fall colored books. So here is my little stack. We've got some oranges, reds, dark greens, and I went with Crown of Feathers by Nikki Pau-Preto, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab, The Brilliant Death by A.R. Capita, Nocturne by Maya Motain, Tales from the Hinterland by Melissa Albert, and Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This is very heavy. But look at that beautiful fall colored stack. Question 6 is, fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. And I again had to go for The Spear Cuts Through Water. I tried not to double up on my prompts here, but I couldn't not talk about this book for both of these prompts. So, but this book is beautifully told. So I think I mentioned earlier that it's kind of a dream. So it's a story that's being told by a kid's grandmother, but he's also dreaming it at the same time. And it's also being told by somebody else at the same time. It's so weird and strange and just wild. It was so good. It was so good. I think The Starless Sea was also told as a story, I'm pretty sure. I kind of forget now. The Starless Sea was one of those books where I was so immersed in it that I forgot that I was reading a book, which means that I forget the details of like if it was written in first person or third person or like those kind of things, because it was more of like watching a movie in my head, so I kind of forget the details, but I'm pretty sure The Starless Sea was told as somebody telling you a story. So that one could also work for this prompt too. Question 7 is, the nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. And of course, I have 2 for this. I'm gonna go with Never Whistle at Night, which is an anthology of dark indigenous horror. This is one of the best anthologies that I've ever read. It was phenomenal, especially the titular story was so creepy. Like that one had me actually scared to be in the dark. It was so good. Oh my god. And then the other one is The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Khaw. I read that one recently and it was like disgusting and so good. That one was a horror novella about a mermaid and a plague doctor traveling through the woods together and shit happens. It was creepy as hell and disgusting and full of like body horror and medical stuff and a whole whack of things that was not expected and had me shuddering with disgust. It was great. Question 8 is, the days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up anybody's cold and rainy day. I once again have 2 for this one. So Arrival on the Most Vial. I can't think of the author right now, but the picture is here for you. This one is a cozy fantasy romance and it was so sweet. It's about the owner of a potion store who's a very prickly, withdrawn kind of person, and somebody new moves to town across the street from his shop and also ends up opening up a potion shop, and the two of them become rivals, and it was so sweet. Like, this romance was so good. It literally had me kicking my feet and squealing with joy, and like, oh, I loved it so much. There's also like found family stuff to it, and it was so beautiful. I loved this book so much. I gave it 5 stars. I couldn't not. It was so good. And then the other one is Thirsty Mermaids by Leyh, which I was surprised about. I assumed this was just going to be like a funny graphic novel, but it actually ended up being very heartwarming. This one is about 3 mermaids who found a shipwreck full of booze and they get plastered one night, and they think it's a great idea to cast a spell to turn themselves human for a night, to go up to the surface and just go and drink more and party and get wild. So they do that, and then the next morning they wake up hungover as fuck and realize that they don't know how to reverse the spell and turn back into mermaids. So they end up crashing at the bartender's house until they can figure out how to turn themselves back into mermaids. It was hilarious. I loved the humor in it. It was like genuinely so funny. I was like laughing out loud for it. But it was also really heartwarming. It had a lot to do with found family and body dysmorphia as well too. And yeah, it was just like a surprisingly beautiful story mixed in with hilarious shenanigans. So definitely recommend that one for a heartwarming read. Number 9 is Fall Returns Every Year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. I really want to reread A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I've read this one twice so far, and both times I've just, oh my god, it's so good. So I kind of want to make it a like fall tradition to reread this one every year. So hopefully I'll get to this one very soon. And then after I reread this one, I'm going to be reading the sequel as well. And then finally, number 10 is fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your favorite cozy reading accessories. So my absolute favorite thing to have when I'm reading is a fuzzy blanket, especially this one. Because it's all covered in like pumpkins and skeletons and mushrooms and little potion bottles. It's so cute and so soft. I love this one. So this and my fuzzy slippers, a cup of tea, and a bunch of snacks. And if you can count the weather as being an accessory, then make it also overcast and rainy, and I'm so happy. So yeah, that is the Finally Fall book tag. If you want to do this tag, then consider yourself tagged from me, and down in the comments let me know which fall time read that you're most looking forward to. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later on. Bye!